Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
They've done it all playoffs long. Tyrese Haliburton steals game 1 from Oklahoma City. How did the Thunder recover from falling apart, being up 15 late in the fourth? And Aaron Rodgers took his sweet time, but he's finally signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Indiana Pacers just absolutely refuse to die. And I'm going to go back to something our pal Tony East from Locked On Pacers said to me last series. You can't call it miraculous when they do it seemingly every game. A 111 to 110 win in game 1, stealing a game on the road against Oklahoma City. Tony East, who you may know, our Locked On Pacers host, joins me now from the arena. And Tony, this is just what Tyrese Haliburton does. I guess he could be kind of middling a lot of the game, did not have a high usage rate in the end, and yet he makes the biggest shot of the game. This is who he is now. You let him go right, and he's going to score. Cason Wallace was kind of all over him, kind of letting him go right, and paid the price for it. And the Pacers know this is possible, right? Like half their team just Obi Toppin jogs to his spot at the three-point line. Aaron Nesmith gets to the corner. They just spread out, let him do it. And it's crazy being at these games because at the last one in MSG, I thought, yeah, it's possible they do this. I've seen them do it. This time when he got the ball, when Toppin handed him the ball, I thought he's going to score. Like, It's just how this playoffs has gone. He's gotten that level of expectation out of me. And that's maybe a little like, I don't even know what the right word is to say. It's just how he does it now. And lo and behold, he hits it again. They win again. And it just doesn't make sense. Every series, they just demoralize somebody.
Well, and the interesting thing is, it's not that he just hit the shot. He hit the shot with 0.3, with almost no time. Like, how many times have we seen a player get into that little mid-range shot and then there's 2 seconds left or 1.4 left? The Thunder basically said, we're just gonna have to throw it at the rim at the end. It wasn't just that he made it. It was timed. Everything was so perfect. This has become old hat to them. But let's get there first, Tony, because you can't have that moment without a million moments that led to that. Andrew Nembhard between the legs 4 times, pull up 3-pointer, to cut the lead down. They hadn't had a run more than 6-0 until late in the fourth quarter. Didn't have a lead until the end of the game. What got them in this position?
Yeah, they got themselves down because of the thing that every team says they're not going to do against the Thunder. It's the funniest bit in the NBA now. They say, we can't turn it over. They love to force turnovers. We can't turn it over. You'll never guess what the Pacers did. They turned it over a gazillion times. 19 at halftime. That's not a full game number. That's the halftime number. I mean, had they lost, if Haliburton misses that shot, that's all we're talking about. It's turnovers, right? Like, that's the difference in the NBA. They had way too many of those, so they couldn't catch up. Like, their efficiency numbers were better. They were defending okay, not great, but okay, right enough that they should be in the game, and they couldn't be in it because they kept turning it over. But they just got more settled in every game. That's something Haliburton said after the game, is about settling in. If you look at their differential every single quarter, first quarter they lose it by 9, second quarter lose it by 3, third quarter win it by 3, fourth quarter win it by, I can't do math, 10, right? Like, they just kept getting better and better and better as they settled into the game. Some of that was cutting down the turnovers. Some of that was just that mentally settling in. Some of that was just playing better and Nembhard hitting big shots. But they did it, and it took them the whole game to get there. But that was a big part of it, too, is not only did they have to overcome their biggest flaw, they had to just mentally be a part of the game. And when they got there, they looked like the better team for an important 6 minutes.
Yeah, and they won at the three-point line. 7 more made threes in this game. And, Tony, I looked it up. 11th in three-point percentage in the regular season. They're first in the playoffs that at a number over 40%, that would have been number 1 by a mile in the regular season.
Yeah.
How are they doing this?
Their offense is really humming. And, if you look at the percentage of their shots, because the NBA tracks like how open shot is, if that makes sense, with the closest defender. Yeah. They lead the league in open 2s and 3s and wide open shots. Like, they're very good at
mostly because Haliburton sets this style up, but all their players are good at keeping the ball moving. Popovich coined it the 0.5 second thing where you're supposed to shoot, dribble, or pass right away. Like, all of them are good at that. And so when their offense is moving and the ball is moving, even if you don't like think of Aaron Nesmith, for example, no one thinks of him as like some setup man, but he just keeps it moving and dribbles twice and throws it to an open man. Eventually there's a defensive breakdown and there's an open shot. And so when they're playing at their best and they don't try to keep it moving, they just take the open shot. They can generate threes at a crazy rate, even for their players that, no one on the Pacers besides maybe Nesmith is thought of as like some knockdown, crazy, great shooter. But because they're all so open, it doesn't ever flummox me at the end of a game when I think their percentage is high. Now, obviously, we're at a sample of a crazy number of games where they're at 40-something%. But when they're all so open, it's not unreasonable that they keep making them. It's up to teams to try to figure out how to stop them because they just keep doing it.
You can stay up to date all year on the unrelenting Indiana Pacers by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Pacers on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. You're Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, the Thunder leave game one stunned. Before we get to that, the Dodgers capped off a big series win over the Mets. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to track your finances, check your spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. Track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. The LA Dodgers rallied late to secure a series win over the Mets, who were just hitting their stride.
They're not all going to be pretty, and this one definitely wasn't, but the Dodgers got the win. They split the series against the Mets at home at Dodger Stadium on Thursday. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers. There's a lot to talk about. Michael Conforto, yes, that Michael Conforto came through with the big hit that put the Dodgers ahead in the bottom of the eighth. It was Tanner Scott. Yes, that same Tanner Scott that blew the game on Monday has now thrown 2 consecutive good outings against the Mets. And I think he's found something hiding that ball a little bit more, and whatever they worked on, it seems to be working. Landon Knack, not great today. 5 walks, 3 home runs allowed. But the Dodgers bullpen picked him up. Jack Dreyer with some huge outs. Jose Reina with some huge outs. He did give up a run, but that's okay sometimes. Tanner Scott shuts it down. There was a weird play at home plate that got the Dodgers to tie it up. Shout out to Francisco Alvarez for obstructing his own pitcher and letting Will Smith score. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into it all on Locked On Dodgers, where we get podcasts and on YouTube.
Miraculously, the White Sox, the worst team in baseball, took a second game off the Tigers, the best team in baseball.
I can live with Tim Elko's strikeouts so long as he's crushing home runs or hitting walk-off singles. And yes, the White Sox played a baseball game, in case you're out celebrating the announcement that beleaguered owner Jerry Reinsdorf will sell the team to billionaire Justin Ishbia. Who cares if it won't happen until 2029? It's a light at the end of the tunnel. And you can also celebrate the White Sox pulling off a win on the day of this joyous announcement. Hello, I'm Todd Welter, host of Locked On White Sox, and the White Sox beat the Detroit Tigers 3-2 in 10 innings. Split a 4-game series with the best team in baseball. And it was Tim Elko who was the hero as he slapped the walk-off single in the 10th inning. Thankfully, Elko is back with the big league club after being sent down despite hitting 3 home runs and under 35 at-bats during his first go-around. Now, he's going to strike out a lot, and I mean a lot, like he did today with 3 Ks, but he provides desperately needed power, and he is showing that he can provide timely hits, too. And that is why he should be the everyday first baseman from here on out, and I'll have more on tomorrow's episode of Locked On White Sox.
And Caitlin Clark says she's close to returning from a quad strain that's kept her out the past 3 games. The young phenom said she feels like she's made a lot of progress, but isn't trying to rush it. The Fever may feel a little differently with the Atlanta Dream and New York Liberty on the schedule next week. It's no rush, sure, but Indiana sure would like to have their star back against 2 of the best teams in the league. I guess we'll just add the Oklahoma City Thunder to a long list of teams in the postseason. The Bucks, the Cavs, the Knicks, they got just like every other team the Pacers have faced in the postseason. Rylan Stiles was in Oklahoma City. He joins me now from the arena, our Locked On Thunders host. And Rylan, if we're going to do the balance of scales here, Thunder blew it, Pacers won it. Where do you lean?
Well, if you ask Isaiah Hartenstein in the locker room post-game, he leans that the Thunder lost this game and that the Pacers did not win this game. I think it's a little column A, little column B. Obviously, the Pacers didn't quit, which is obvious in a championship game. I know that was being spread around a lot during the game, but yeah, they weren't going to quit. And this is what finals games are. They typically come down to the wire. Basketball itself is a game of runs. I think that the Thunder have a lot of things that they feel like they can clean up. And that was overall the message from Hartenstein, from Aaron Wiggins, from most of this roster is, yes, it sucks to lose, especially game one of the finals, but you'd rather lose and have avenues to get better versus just outright getting just dominated and beaten down. And the Thunder do have ways to get better. They were awful at capitalizing off of the turnovers that we didn't think they'd be able to create against Indiana. That was a big death nail. Their offense just simply was not good enough to win a basketball game here in the modern era, no matter how good their defense was. And then they made the adjustment to go small in the end. And that cost them, I think, down the stretch, especially on the glass, of keeping the door open for the Indiana Pacers. But if you're the Thunder, you can't really panic after this game because you kept them at an arm's length until you didn't. And you controlled the game until the bitter end. And that's where Indiana took advantage of basketball being a game of runs, of their never say die attitude, and of their ability to stay poised, because they were getting a little frustrated in the first half with that newfound turnover problem that they suffered through. But they regrouped after halftime and they came out really well in the second half.
Our pal Matt Miller over at Locked On Nuggets and Locked On NBA, he sent out a social media message that he thought Daigneault got a little too cute at the end, and then it cost him. Where do you stand on some of the decisions late in the game, taking the ball out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's hands late, not going to him until a little bit later in the fourth quarter than maybe you would expect when the Pacers started that run, and then you mentioned going small in the end there?
Yeah, I think that Mark treated this game the way that he's treated every game one of every playoff series he's ever coached, which is not too many of them, but now that they're in the finals, it's on a bigger stage where game one, as he always says, is a feel-it-out process, and they felt it out. They had 11 guys play in the first half of an NBA Finals game, including rookie A.J. Mitchell, which is just absurd. And then he stuck with SGA coming in around the 7-minute mark instead of pushing him closer to that 9-minute mark where they had been in tight closeout scenarios with SGA. So I think that was a bit unconventional. I think that you should treat every game as though it's a closeout game where you're having Shai return earlier or your superstar inserted here return earlier. That was a bit different. Going small was a bit different. I would have liked to see them keep it big on the floor at all times because Hartenstein was also thriving in that single big lineup, just like Chet found the way defensively to impact this game. Offensively, it wasn't enough. But look, I think that sometimes we can get a little bit too divulged into every singular decision a coach makes. If SGA hits that mid-range jumper to go up 3, that Haliburton shot's not enough to win the game. And the Thunder were in much better control, and it's a make or miss league. Shai missed his opportunity, and Haliburton capitalized on it, and Haliburton's the one who has the moment today. And if Shai hit that shot, we likely don't even discuss what Mark did in this game, and we're all talking about SGA. So I do think that there are ways that even Mark can clean up because he did get a bit too cute, a little bit unorthodox, but being unorthodox is also what got him here.
Yeah. And that Shai shot, as you mentioned, that's his bread and butter. Like those are his shots, that little mid-range game, herky jerky, get into that spot. Like that's a shot we've seen him hit how many times this season, Rylan? This post-game locker room, you were there, you got a chance to talk to these players. We worry, and I think in the media we over worry about how these players are going to react. But this is a young team that has not been on this stage before. How do they bounce back? How are they saying they plan to bounce back?
Yeah, they all mentioned cleaning up similar things, right? Like getting back into a normal offensive rhythm. They had less assists in this game than they typically do. Part of that is just simply shot making and executing. They did mention, kind of letting go of the rope a little bit defensively with closeouts in the second half, which I thought was evident. I thought the overall vibe of both the podium and the locker room was the Thunder having a healthy frustration for game number 1, understanding that they cost themselves one of the 4 wins that you need to get to the NBA championship, and the kind of implementing that and turning that into positive energy in game 2. I think that this team, of all the young teams in the history of the league, has a better understanding of not letting this linger and parlay into letting game 1 beat you game 2. They've responded great in this spot before, and that's kind of the beauty of what has been this playoff run. They've swept, they've played from ahead, and they've played from behind. In a similar fashion tonight, they blew this game just like they blew game 1 against Denver, and it was mainly on them. And so now I think that the attention shifts from people picking a short series series to this going a bit longer, but there's still a pathway for OKC to get a win, and I think that they feel that.
Stay up to date all year on the Oklahoma City Thunder by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Thunder on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers has sobered up and signed with Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is done flirting around the league and is finally ready to commit to the Steelers. Locked On Steelers host Chris Carter reacts to the long-awaited news.
Expect Aaron Rodgers to sign sometime soon. We've been saying, hey, before minicamp, it's gonna happen. I know some people were thinking like, oh, Kirk Cousins. Trust me, we have our Locked On Steelers call-in line. A lot of questions like, what if he doesn't show? There's a reason why I stopped entertaining those questions a while ago, because we've known basically it was going to happen. There has been a backdoor agreement that wasn't publicized between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers that he was gonna come in before minicamp and everything was gonna be fine. And now Jerry Dulac, my colleague at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, broke the story nationally saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers is set to fly into Pittsburgh this Friday, tomorrow, sign with the Steelers, and he'll be set to attend mandatory minicamp, which starts next Tuesday, goes through next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So the Steelers will get will get Aaron Rodgers in. I would not be shocked if DK Metcalf shows up as well to be with Aaron Rodgers. I also wouldn't be shocked if TJ Watt shows up and we get the full gamut of the Pittsburgh Steelers roster as is. So with that being said, let's just cut through all of the waiting and what took so long. Bottom line, what took so long is Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. You probably don't want to go through a full NFL offseason doing all the things that he has to do that he normally would have to do. Probably was an agreement that, hey, coming for mandatory minicamp, that'll be fine. I fully expect Aaron Rodgers to probably, after this mandatory minicamp, do a sort of workout in Vegas or in California somewhere where he'll be working with the Steelers wide receivers, building chemistry with them, and then that'll lead into training camp. And then when they report to training camp, players report July 23rd. That schedule was released this week. You can expect Aaron Rodgers to be there, and then that's where they'll get the real work in to start to build the chemistry that they need there.
There's a line in The Wire from a character named Bunk, and I'm going to paraphrase it because there's language in it that I cannot repeat. But what he says is it makes him sick to think of how far they fell. And I feel sick, not because I took ayahuasca with Aaron Rodgers, but because the Pittsburgh Steelers just simped this hard for Aaron Rodgers, waited their entire offseason, just said, listen, King, whatever you want on your timeline, and made us believe, or tried to make us believe, that, look, we'll be fine if Mason Rudolph is the quarterback. No, Bo, we know what that looks like. We know what that looks like. And it was never going to happen. Never. We always knew it was going to be Aaron Rodgers. And this proud franchise, one of the great franchises in the NFL, shamelessly, like a teenager left on red, waited and waited and waited. Please text me back. Please text me back. Please text. And then he did. So, and finally, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says expansion is officially on the table, or at least it's getting moved from the group chat to the meeting room. The league will take the temperature of owners next month in Las Vegas, which feels fitting given the likely frontrunner for a new franchise. Seattle and Vegas remain the favorites, but Silver warned that expansion is like selling equity, and some owners may not be in a sharing mood. Still, after 2 decades without a new team, the NBA might finally be ready to RSVP for 2 more. Also, yes, you're sharing the revenue, but all the owners are going to get paid hundreds of millions off a new team because they're going to get money off that. So this is happening. Don't worry about it. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, can Oklahoma City respond in Game 2? So at least until tomorrow, stay Locked On Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.